And he's kind of cute, but like, whatever, none of us really think anything.
He's like cute or like whatever. These kind of videos always make me feel bad for the simple fact that I feel like I'm punching down on a sweet girl like this who is clearly trying to help out her audience. And I can see how for a lot of the viewers that watch her, she is their ideal girl. She's a very attractive girl. Why not ask the woman of your dreams how to pick her up? A lot of us, though, who have been in the industry for a long time know this is a bad idea. The common term is you don't ask a fish how to fish, you ask a fisherman. The thing that helps me out with this, though, is that she has more viewers than me. Obviously, I'm not picking on somebody that is not doing that well. She's clearly making a lot of money in this industry. And I did look through some other female coaches, one of which was actually pretty good, was Kezia Noble. I know that Kezia has been in the industry for a long time. Back when I was trying to figure this out, she was still a coach then, and she's been giving killer advice. Blaine, on the other hand, is someone who's really new in the industry, and hopefully she evolves and grows her coaching and decides to learn about this, but she's never been a coach before. Whereas Kezia Noble has. Never had any prior experience coaching. She got famous on TikTok and then from there blew up. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down her advice. I've been in the dating industry for coming up on 15 years. I worked with 4 different companies underneath professional coaches. So when it comes to dating advice, I know what I'm talking about. So let's do an audit of her advice. Is it actually gonna help you out? With that being said, let's get into the video.
So let's watch the video. These are corny, but they work, so listen up. I never do this, but you have an amazing smile, and I would kick myself later if I didn't say hello. Oh, your puppy is so cute. He clearly takes after his mom. You're glowing. Did you just get engaged? So let's talk about the first line. I never...
This is nitpicking. A little bit of nitpicking. 1, she's building rapport with her tone. 2, is coming across super inauthentic, but I can remember myself saying these lines and it coming across inauthentic. But yeah, if you are going to say these lines, don't say them in the way that she's saying them. And I'll get into the lines along with the video itself, just to show you guys what I don't like about them.
But you have an amazing smile, and I would kick myself later if I didn't say hello. I call this line a beginner line because it's a little self-effacing, but I love it because it is authentic to how a lot of guys are feeling if they're approaching a cute girl. It's maybe not something that they normally do, and if she has a beautiful smile, then this is an authentic thing to say. The most important thing whenever you're using a line or even just talking to a girl is that what you are saying is authentic to yourself. If you're using someone else's line totally blind or saying something inauthentic, she's going to sense this and it is not going to work. And to be honest, women have a 6th sense if you aren't being true to yourself, and it is a turnoff. So the beauty of this line is many guys do feel awkward approaching women, so she's actually going to think it's cute if you just call it for what it is. You can use this line in so many different situations. I could see it working on campus, on literally public transportation, definitely at a bar, at a party, at a park. This line is so broad that the most important thing is just that it feels authentic to you. Use it. The second line is a little bit flirtier, which is why it's intermediate. Oh, your puppy is so cute. He clearly takes after his mom. Obviously, this only works if the girl has a dog or a puppy. I suppose you could use it if she was walking her like pet squirrel or lizard, but like I use puppy here because that's probably going to be the most natural thing that you'll see a girl doing. Plus, you're complimenting her on something she loves. People, myself included, are very passionate about their pets, so it's flattering all around. And the beauty of this line is you're calling her cute without actually...
I think the reason that I don't like her very much is because of their Valley accent. I hate the Valley accent. It just screams rich girl to me. Seems like somebody who's never had to struggle. A lot of the girls that have this accent are the worst and the most annoying to go and approach. But I don't want to honestly give her a personality without knowing her. But her personality, like her accent, though, is grinding me a little bit. I hate that Valley girl accent personally.
Actually calling her cute. You can also rejigger this line to work with a girl that doesn't have a dog. Something like, that's quite the cocktail, almost as festive as you are.
Don't say that, please. Okay, so here's the problem with saying something like that. It's super indirect. There is no premise behind it. And a lot of guys who are creepy would say a line like this. So if you're approaching a girl who's attractive, this line's going to scare the shit out of her. Not scare her, but she's going to immediately get like a feeling of you trying to worm your way into the interaction. I was okay with the rationalization behind the first line. I was cool with it. If you are feeling nervous, it's okay to call it out. Because, yeah, girls do have a 6th sense for if you're being inauthentic. But this line, don't ever fucking say this line.
I don't know if that's quite right, but like, you get the gist. You can work in something else that's relevant to her. Again, remember, authentic. So what is she doing that you can make a comment or like a compliment about that then indirectly lets her know that you think she's cute? Also, as a side note, straight up, having a dog is an incredible asset for your dating life. It gives you an excuse to be anywhere alone. You always have the dog with you as company, so you don't necessarily feel as awkward. And girls are going to want to talk to you about your dog. It gives people a reason to talk to you and a reason for you to talk to a lot more people when you're walking around, when you're sitting in the park, when you're enjoying, food at an outdoor cafe. So if you don't have a dog and you are going to be a responsible dog owner, maybe it's something that you should consider for your future. Just remember, adopt, don't shop. This last one is definitely advanced, and I promise there's a story behind it. It is, you're glowing. Did you just get engaged? Okay, so I kid you not, I'm out with a few girlfriends. It's like a Sunday afternoon. We walk into a little bodega, grocery store, and there's a guy serving soft serve. And he's kind of cute, but like, whatever, none of us really think anything.
He's like cute or like whatever. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, I hate her accent. I'm just being a dick and I'm pissed. Like, this has nothing to do with her coaching. I just really hate her accent.
Of it. He serves us our ice cream, and as he's handing my friend her ice cream, he says, "Deadpan, you are glowing. Did you just get engaged?" The reaction, the crowd reaction was, and she was like, "No, I'm actually single." So not only did he compliment her, he qualified her. He literally found out that she was single. And then they just started talking. They had a little bit of banter. She ended up giving him her phone number, and they dated for 6 months. Ultimately, it didn't work out for Kate and the ice cream man, but they had a great 6 months out of it, and we still talk about how that was such a great icebreaker. The reason why this works is because, first of all, it's a compliment, but it's not like a corny or intrusive compliment. If he was like, "Oh, baby, you look great today," not the same thing. That is too physical. It's just a general compliment about her vibe, which is A+. And second off, it qualifies if she's single. You're going to find out her relationship status. It is a beautiful segue into understanding if someone is available to you, and it starts a great conversation. So, what did we learn here?
It's not a terrible line, but for the fact that she's pulling that line out of a myriad of different lines tells me she doesn't have a lot of experience in regards to lines, I guess, or ways that guys could... I preferred the first line out of all three of these. I like the third one the best. The last one was just... like, obviously the guy was already cool to begin with, and the stuff is always coming through. It sounds like he's the kind of guy who could have made any line work. All right, we'll go on to the next video.
If you're texting a girl you really like, but she's leaving you on red, waiting out...
The fuck is up with these, like, terrible dating coaches and putting out these ads? I've seen this guy's ads. This guy's fucking grifters.
You want to land dates and build relationships with women in real life, not find a pen pal who you are going to...
You guys notice how I don't put ads on my channel? I hate you guys seeing those grifters.
...message with endlessly. With this in mind, it is also helpful to have a destination in mind so you can steer the conversation that way. For example, you want to eventually ask her on a date, or you want to ascertain a specific...
It's just I don't get it. Like, if you're not that good a coach, or you're somebody who's new at coaching, you should get coaching. Like, I still reach out and I still get coaching myself to this day. If you actually want to truly be a good coach, talk to other coaches. And I don't mean date the coaches. I've talked to a lot of female coaches who dated guy coaches, and that's their reference. Like, they would do a lot better if they actually bought coaching. They'd be more invested in it itself, and it would say a lot more to me about them as people. I feel like a lot of these guys are just falling in back asswards, especially with like TikTok. Like, I got really big on TikTok there for a second, and I looked around at the general scene of the dating industry on there, and it was a bunch of guys and girls who didn't know what they were talking about and regurgitating shit that I say, or some other coach that actually knows what they're saying, or some other coach that actually knows what they're talking about saying. Instead of them coming to their own formulations or understanding this on a deep level and studying it, they talk about very surface level shit. If they do actually give good advice, which I prefer them do that than trying to, give their female intuition version of advice.
Specific piece of information. Second, less is more. It is a lot easier to text the wrong thing or text too much and come off as needy than it is to build a romantic connection via text. So when in doubt, text less and steer the conversation towards chatting and meeting in person. And third, texting is a two-way street. This is to say, texting should feel like a balanced conversation, not an interrogation or an interview. You can absolutely ask a question to stir conversation, but just be prepared to answer that question as well. And if you notice you're the one doing all of the asking, this might be a sign that she's not interested in texting you and it's best to cut bait. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into what to talk about with the woman you're texting. Swap stories about your day. This is an easy and effective way to break the ice with a girl, particularly because it works regardless of your relationship with her, and it can pave the way for deeper conversations. But instead of texting something generic and open-ended like, "Hey, how was your day?" which can lead to a conversational dead end, try texting something that is going to make her smile and can also lead to other avenues of conversation. For example, "Hey there, what was the highlight and low light of your day?" Alternatively, share something.
It's cheesy. Don't say that. Actually, I'd prefer saying, "Hey, how's your day?" I say that all the time. Or hey, Trouble, how's your weekend? Hey, Trouble, how's your week going? Just something along the lines of that. That's actually not bad to say it that way. It doesn't lead to a dead end unless you let it lead to a dead end. It's okay for it to lead to a dead end. If it does, stop texting. Be the first person to stop texting. It's not necessarily bad to do that. And the way that she's putting it, no. You'd want to almost like bad boy that up or add different words to it. The words that she's using are very cookie cutter, and it just comes across as like the nice guy's way of texting. I don't think that that's the greatest way to text. Don't text like that.
About your day when you ask about hers.
And it also depends on where you get her phone number from. If you're getting it from dating apps versus if you're getting it from in person, from cold approach, or you're getting it from work, like that will determine how much you should be texting her. If you get her number from out and about, if you get her number from in person, then you want to text her less. If you're getting it from online, you want to text her more, because the girl doesn't know your energy. She doesn't know who you are, so you can express more of your energy through the text, so she can get a feel for you, so she can get a feel about what you'd be like in person. But if you get her phone number from being in person, she already knows what your energy's like. There's a lot less texting, and you actually are more likely to fuck it up through the text, so you want to text less.
To set the emotional tone and direction of conversation. For example...
Oh, and last thing, and I'll let her talk. Use Instagram over texting. And if you don't like Instagram, use Snapchat over texting. It's a lot better. There's a lot more ways to engage the girl in a non-needy way. And you can also gauge how much she likes you through the texting. If she's like looking at your stories, if she's liking your posts, you're taking good photos, you post up a good photo, she's liking it. It's a good way to gauge and to interpret how she feels about you.
Hey, how's your day been so far? A highlight of mine was making it to yoga before work. I have felt so refreshed and energized all day. How about you? Ask what she's been up to lately. This is an especially good strategy for a text conversation if you haven't spoken with her in a couple weeks or even a couple months. The most generic text you could send in this situation would be, "Hey, it's been a minute since we last spoke. What have you been up to lately?" That message is pretty bland though, and often leaves conversations off a cliff because it is so open-ended. Plus, it fails to address the reason that you haven't spoken in weeks. It tends to be better to name why you haven't chatted and ask a more specific question. So let's say you matched with a girl and then she went on a trip to Hawaii, and that was a few weeks ago. You might text her something like,
"Hey babe, how would you respond to any of those texts?"
I think they're like totally amazing. They're not gonna get shit.
They're not gonna get shit from it? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It sounds so... By the way, I'm still running the video. I just thought that you'd like to be in it. So you think it sounds... I think it sounds like a pussy, like, or like somebody who's like very like nice guy, quote unquote, kind of energy, which is... Yeah, low testosterone, like you don't have a dick type of energy.
Confident in himself. He just sounds like he only hangs out with girls that's probably gonna get him girlfriends, like lane friends, but that's not that good of a date.
Yeah. She's saying it's gonna get you friend zoned over actually her being interested in you. That's how I felt too.
"Hey, Hey, how was Hawaii? Tell me about some of the highlights. Or maybe you exchanged numbers with a girl at a party and you chatted about how she recently got a puppy, but then work got crazy for both of you, so the conversation went dark. Hey, I didn't mean to let this conversation fall off after we met at Dave's. Work has been comically busy for the last 2 weeks, but I'm finally through it. What's new? Has the puppy been behaving himself? Discover her interests and hobbies. Discovering a girl's interests and hobbies is an essential way to understand how she spends her time and if you two may be compatible. If you just met her, you might be inclined to ask an open-ended question like, pick up any new hobbies recently? But you're usually better off asking something more direct that you already know she has an interest in. For example, you mentioned you like to swim. Have you ever been to Barton Creek? Or you mentioned you love to swim. Did you swim competitively growing up? These questions will obviously help you get to know a girl, but understanding her specific interests and hobbies can also help you lay the foundation for a date. For example, maybe you play pickleball and you want to sniff out whether or not she would be interested in playing with you this weekend. You could text, have you ever played pickleball? I recently picked it up and I've been having so much fun. Or maybe you've been on a couple dates and you're thinking about planning a hiking date next. You could text her something like, on a scale from 1 to 10.
Well, the way she's thinking about setting up dates is actually not terrible, but there's a better way of doing it. So girls want the idea of you treating them special, obviously, but you don't know her that well yet. The point of the first date is to get to know each other, see if you guys click like that. Then, through the act of you guys hanging out more, she can become special. Now, then you guys can go on like specific dates. But I just take girls, like if I'm single, I take girls on the date to the same place every single time. One, you can build up a good rapport with people working there. If the guys there are cool, the girls there are cool. If the vibe is cool, you feel more comfortable and relaxed. You have good logistics. If the girl is feeling you in that way and she's maybe wanting to do something else with you extra, like then your place is just around the corner. Maybe you have a good second spot set up for a date. If you take a girl on multiple dates in a date, different places in a date, she's going to feel like she's been with you longer. It's going to create a faster connection. Honestly, the best thing you could probably know is what days she works. So if you know what she does for work, if she's a bartender, she's going to be busy on the weekends. If she works a normal job, she's going to be free on the weekends. That way, when you ask her out, actually what she's doing on a certain day, then you know what day she's free. Otherwise, I mean, the girl's gonna like whatever you want to do, for the most part. Don't make it datey. Don't give it a date frame. Don't give it the frame of being a date, because then it becomes very generic and it can stagnate the energy. You want to take her somewhere, like generally speaking, that's more relaxed, not a lot of pressure. Don't take her to fine dining, to a movie, obviously. Don't take her to like anything generic, coffee. Avoid those kind of dates, because then it sets it up of this is a date kind of feeling. Then she has a certain character she plays on the dates that she's used to playing, and then you do too. You want to set her out of that so she'd be more authentic with you and get to know her faster.
Where 1 equals I don't even like backyards and 10 equals I could live in a tent in Yosemite, how into the outdoors are you? Explore your favorite things to consume. When I say consume, I mean anything from books, TV shows, movies, artists.
Save it for the date.
Music, songs, food, things that you can discuss to create a deeper connection, illuminate your passions and preferences, and have a fun conversation about. You can literally start a conversation by asking, what's your favorite song, musician, show, or podcast right now?
No.
Obviously, just pick one of those things, don't ask
Do all this if you guys want to get friend zoned.
for all of them. Assuming you have had friendly rapport back and forth previously, the question won't feel too random. You can also start a conversation by sharing a show or podcast or book that you really like. For example, have you been watching season 2 of White Lotus? I'm halfway through and I'm obsessed. Or if you're
That's how a girl would text. That's how a girl would text. Don't text like a girl. Text like a man. There's no masculinity or testosterone behind any of these texts. These are texts that she would send to a guy. So now she's giving you guys, so if she wanted to reach out to a guy, this is how she'd reach out to the guy. She's misinterpreting what works for her that would work for guys, and guys and girls are very differently attracted to each other. A girl wants very masculine, testosterone-filled conversations, or like a bad boy kind of energy, or like a guy that's just has like wild stallion energy. Like you could say these things, but not in the way that she's phrasing them. You want to add more edge. And I'll give her this. Teaching texting is one of the hardest things for a coach to do. Teaching texting is very difficult. It's something that most coaches suck at. And there's a lot of nuance to it, and there's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of experience that has to go into play. If you guys want to get good at texting, though, get on dating apps. Get on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, any one of the apps that has a lot of girls in your age group or girls that you're shooting for on the app. And just get on there and practice. You don't even have to get the girls on dates. Just go on there just specifically to practice. The only way to get good at texting is to do it a lot. And if you practice and you try out different things, you'll pull together reference experience, which will allow you to know what to say in certain situations. Like if a client shows me a text, I know what to say to that text very intuitively. But knowing why I would text that is a little bit more difficult. It's why texting is so hard. Texting is very difficult, and understanding a girl's mindset in texting is hard. So I'm not putting this against her, but this is a very high level thing to be able to coach.
A conversation is she shares something going on in her life, like she just moved to the east side of your town. You can show your interests and better understand hers by texting something like, I love the east side. Do you have any favorite restaurants yet? Ask her for advice. This is a great conversation topic via text because it signals that you value her opinion, which can feel like a compliment. To riff on the example we just covered, you could text something like, have a suggestion for a restaurant in East 6? I'm meeting a colleague for a drink later and would love a good food ride. Or, looks like I'll be stuck in traffic for an hour this afternoon. What's the best podcast you've been listening to lately? Just know that asking a girl for advice works best when it's on a topic that she's interested in or has good judgment on. Like you want a tip for the best running shoes and she's a marathon runner. And soliciting advice doesn't make you look silly or incompetent, but if you are just getting to know each other, it's gonna feel weird if you're asking her for something more serious like career advice. Basically, just be thoughtful about the message you send by asking her for advice or her opinion. Pay her a compliment. As long as it is genuine, paying a compliment is a wonderful way to enhance or even start a conversation.
No, never compliment a girl over text. No. You need to keep some tension going, and whenever you compliment a girl over text too much, you're killing the tension. She knows she has you, and then from there is no like wonderment. There's no push-pull going on in her head. You need some level of tension for there to be attraction. If she knows she has you, most girls, especially these attractive girls, are going to get very disinterested. If you haven't noticed, have you noticed how like a lot of girls who date their guys, there's a lot of guys out there that they almost come across as if they don't even like their girl, or the girl is just like, it's not that big a deal, or it's like they go for guys that seem to be very distant with them, right? It's there needs to be some kind of, honestly, there has to be some kind of like masculine energy, some kind of feeling of value in comparison to the girl. When you text her this kind of stuff, you're giving away that value, and the girls are attracted to value. And when you do that, the girls are going to be less interested in you. Like, for example, you should never be the first person to say, I love you to a girl. You should never be the first person to try to push a relationship fast. You should wait for her to do it if she wants to. You shouldn't be the guy that does that because you're killing the tension by putting it out there like that. You shouldn't be the first person to start snuggling with the girl or doing that. You should wait for her to show that she wants to do that. And you also don't know her love language either. So if you are somebody who's physical, has a physical love language, she might not have that, and you're going to scare her away if she has a distant love type. This is more just science. This is more just dating science. This is more dating science and psychology than anything else. But it is very true. This is very bad advice for texting. Again, it's hard to teach texting without holding it against her, but she has a long ways to go as a coach. If she wants to actually take this seriously as a coach, she has a long ways to go.
Riff on the example we covered a moment ago. If you asked a girl for a podcast recommendation and she said Kim Kardashian's new podcast, The System, and you listened to it, you could then text her, wow, amazing rec. The System was so good. It's making me look at our criminal justice system and Kim Kardashian in a whole new light. Or if you already know she feels affectionate towards you, you could open up the conversation by sending some affection back. Like, random props for being amazing. I can't get over how smart, caring, or supportive you are, and I'm having a blast getting to know you. Or perhaps you send something a little spicier like, I just wanted to say you looked really good last night. Just remember not to go overboard. Compliments mean a lot coming from a guy she likes, but can come off as creepy if she barely knows you. Discuss future plans, goals, and ambitions.
Oh, she's partially teaching this for guys who are already in the relationship with the girl, not leading up to it. So this is another thing that sometimes dating coaches do.
They don't understand that guys have a hard time getting into the relationships to begin with, or even getting past first or second or third base, let alone into a relationship. So she's giving partial advice for guys who are already in relationships, which for girls is good advice because getting into a relationship is the hard part for girls, whereas guys have a harder time with the further upfront, which is just getting the girl into you to begin with. So I think that's where she's making the mistake. She doesn't understand that guys are having a different problem in terms of dating than women. So she's a very, very new coach for a woman. She doesn't understand what the fuck she's talking about. That makes me feel kind of bad. But yeah, she's trying. But I mean, she needs to get better. She needs to get coaching and actually study this. She needs to get better coaching. She needs to like actually start really caring about her clients and really trying to get better results for them instead of taking it from her perspective. She needs to start trying to understand what it's like to be a guy. She has no idea what it's like to be a guy.
So unfortunately, my initial interpretation of her coaching was correct. She is a very basic newbie coach. She doesn't know what it's like to be a guy. She doesn't know what it's like to be in the guys dating scene. For 99% of guys, the hardest part about dating is getting a girl into to begin with. If she doesn't want to do this seriously, I would suggest that she gets real coaching from another dating coach who's been in this for a very long time, who has a lot of experience. She has never worked for another dating company before. She's never worked with guys in person. She got famous from being a pretty girl on TikTok who talked to guys about how to pick her up. And for those of you guys who've ever taken a girl's advice on how to pick them up, how was it worked out for you guys? Not that fucking great. So if she wants to continue in this, I suggest that she get some coaching. But if you guys want to get some coaching, you can text me up at 702-841-9909. And with that being said, peace.